Good evening, dear listener. Tonight on Boring History for Sleep, your ever dull but oddly charming host guides you through history's most awkward royal exits, calm, quiet, and just boring enough to help you drift off. First, let's create the perfect setting for relaxation. Find a comfortable spot, your bed, a soft couch, or a favorite armchair. If you're in bed, fluff your pillows just the way you like them. Pull up a blanket, light or heavy, whatever feels like a warm hug. If you'd like, dim the lights or turn them off entirely. Maybe light a candle if that's your thing, but nothing too bright, just a soft flicker to match the gentle pace of our tale. If you're listening with earbuds, adjust them so they're snug, but not intrusive. The goal is to feel completely at ease, as if you're sinking into a cloud. Now, let's talk about relaxing your body. Start by taking a deep breath in through your nose slowly, counting to 4 in your mind. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for a moment, then exhale through your mouth, even slower, counting to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel the air leave your lungs, carrying away any tension. Do this 2 more times. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One last time, inhale deeply, hold, and let it all go with a long, slow exhale. Notice how your shoulders drop, how your arms feel heavier. Next, let's release any lingering tightness. Start with your toes. Wiggle them gently, then let them rest. Imagine them melting into the bed, soft and still. Move up to your feet, flex and release, letting them sink. Now your calves, tense them slightly, then relax. Feel them grow heavy, as if they're part of the earth. Move to your thighs, your hips, your lower back. Let each muscle soften like butter warming in a pan. Your stomach, let it rise and fall with your breath. No need to hold it in. Your chest, your shoulders, roll them gently, then let them settle. Finally, your neck and face. Scrunch your face tight for a moment, eyes, nose, mouth, and release. Let your jaw loosen, your forehead smooth out. Your whole body is now a calm, quiet sea, gently rocking you towards sleep. If your mind is still buzzing, that's okay. Picture a soft, golden light at the center of your forehead. With each breath, let that light spread, warm and slow, across your scalp, down your neck, over your shoulders, and through your whole body. Any stray thoughts? Imagine them as little leaves floating on a stream, drifting away. You don't need to chase them. You're here, in this moment, ready to float through a sleepy historical tale. Tonight's topic is wonderfully suited for our purpose. Royal deaths, you might think, sound dramatic: kings and queens, crowns and castles. But oh, how wrong that assumption can be. The stories we'll explore are not of grand battles or heroic sacrifices. No, these are the tales of monarchs who met their ends in ways so mundane, so embarrassingly human, that they're almost comical in their simplicity. These are not the stuff of epic ballads, but of quiet chuckles, the kind that make you sigh and sink deeper into your pillow. We'll wander through courts and corridors, pausing at moments so trivial they're barely worth remembering, yet here we are, remembering them for you in the most soothing way possible. Why focus on embarrassing deaths? Well, history is full of pomp and ceremony, but it's also full of reminders that even the mightiest rulers were just people, flawed, clumsy, and sometimes spectacularly unlucky. These stories strip away the glitter of royalty, leaving behind moments that are relatable in their awkwardness. A king who tripped into eternity, a queen who misjudged her dinner. These are the tales that make you feel a little better about your own small mishaps. And because they're so far removed from our time, they carry no weight, no urgency. They're just soft, silly whispers from the past, perfect for drifting off as we proceed. There's no need to stay alert or keep track of details. Let my voice be a gentle hum, like the sound of a distant train or the patter of rain on a window. If you catch a name or a date, that's fine, but don't hold on to it. Let it slip through your mind like sand through your fingers. If you drift off before we finish, that's the goal. If you're still awake, that's okay too. There's more monotonous history waiting to bore you into bliss. Before we begin, one final relaxation tip. Picture yourself in a grand ancient library, stone walls, wooden shelves, and the faint smell of old books. You're in a plush chair by a fireplace, the logs crackling softly. The room is warm. The light is low, and outside, a gentle night breeze rustles the leaves. In your hands is a heavy, leather-bound book titled Embarrassing Royal Deaths. The pages are soft, the ink slightly faded, and as you turn them, the words seem to blur, inviting you to close your eyes. This is where we'll start our journey, in this quiet, safe space, where nothing matters but the slow, steady rhythm of the story. So, dear listener, are you ready? Let's step into the past, tiptoeing through the annals of history to uncover the most delightfully dull demises of royalty. Lie back, let your eyelids grow heavy, and allow the world to fade. Here we go, into the sleepy, silly world of embarrassing royal deaths. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast, ancient castle courtyard, somewhere deep in the heart of a forgotten European kingdom. The air is cool, carrying the faint, earthy scent of moss clinging to weathered stone walls. It's twilight, that soft hour where the sky fades into a gentle lavender, and the first stars begin to peek through, like tiny pinpricks of light on a velvet curtain. The courtyard stretches before you, its cobblestones uneven and smoothed by centuries of footsteps. Kings, queens, courtiers, and servants, all long gone, their names blurred into the haze of history. Tonight, this quiet, unremarkable place will be our gateway to the past, a perfect setting for tales so mundane. They'll cradle you into sleep. Take a slow, deep breath, and notice the air filling your lungs. It's crisp, with a hint of wood smoke drifting from a distant chimney. The smoke curls lazily, blending with the subtle sweetness of late-blooming roses in a nearby garden, their petals drooping as if ready to rest for the night. Exhale, and feel your shoulders soften, your body settling into the moment. There's no rush here, no urgency. The world is still, and time feels like a sluggish river, meandering without purpose. Listen closely. The sounds around you are soft, unobtrusive. A faint breeze rustles the leaves of an ancient oak tree standing at the courtyard's center, its branches creaking ever so slightly, as if whispering secrets too old to matter. Somewhere nearby, a fountain burbles, its water trickling in a steady, hypnotic rhythm. Plink, 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 each drop a tiny lullaby. From the castle's open windows, you catch the distant murmur of voices, not loud enough to discern words, just a low hum of life, like bees in a far-off hive. A single cricket chirps, then falls silent, as if deciding it's too sleepy to continue. These sounds weave together, wrapping you in a cocoon of calm, inviting your eyelids to grow heavy. Step forward onto the cobblestones. Feel their cool, uneven surface beneath your feet, each stone slightly different, some wobbly, some firm, as if they've settled into their own quirks over centuries. Your footsteps make a soft tap-tap, barely audible, blending into the courtyard's quiet symphony. As you walk, your fingers brush against the stone wall to your left. It's rough, speckled with tiny flecks of mica that catch the fading light, glinting faintly like stars trapped in the rock. The texture is grounding, real, yet softened by time, as if the stone itself is too tired to be sharp anymore. Look around. The castle looms ahead, its towers stretching upward, their outlines softened by ivy that clings like a green blanket. The stonework is a patchwork of grays and browns, stained by rain and age, with patches of lichen blooming in muted greens and yellows. Narrow windows, some with cracked panes, glow faintly with the amber light of candles inside. The light spills out, pooling on the cobblestones, creating little islands of warmth in the cool evening. Beyond the castle, a forest stretches into the distance, its trees dark silhouettes swaying gently, their edges blurred as if painted with a sleepy brush. Pause for a moment and notice the weight of your body. Let it sink, as if the ground is pulling you gently downward, rooting you to this place. Your arms are loose, your hands resting easily by your sides. If you're lying down, imagine the cobblestones beneath you transforming into the softest mattress, each stone a cushion molded to your form. If you're sitting, feel the chair or couch cradling you, as supportive as the ancient oak's roots. This courtyard, this castle, this moment, it's all here to hold you, to let you drift. Now, let's wander closer to the castle's great wooden doors, massive and studded with iron, their surface worn smooth by countless hands. As you approach, the scent shifts slightly less moss, more aged wood, and a faint whiff of wax from the candles burning within. Push the door open slowly and feel its weight give way with a low, groaning creak, like the castle itself is exhaling. Step inside, and the air changes again. It's warmer, carrying the rich, musty smell of old tapestries and polished oak. The floor beneath you is now smooth stone, polished to a dull sheen, cool against your feet, but not cold, as if it's absorbed the warmth of generations. The hall before you is vast, its ceiling lost in shadows high above, supported by thick beams that creak faintly as the castle settles. Tapestries line the walls, their colors faded to soft blues, greens, and golds, depicting scenes of hunts and feasts that no one remembers. The threads are frayed at the edges, swaying slightly as a draft moves through the room, like ghosts brushing past. Candles flicker in iron sconces, their flames small but steady, casting pools of golden light that dance lazily across the floor. The light is just enough to see by, but not enough to keep you alert. It's a light that begs you to close your eyes, to let go, take another deep breath. This time, the air carries a faint trace of lavender, perhaps from a sachet tucked somewhere. In the hall, mingled with the earthy scent of stone and the sweet, slightly sour note of old wine spilled long ago. Exhale, and imagine any lingering tension in your body melting away, pooling on the floor like spilled wax, leaving you lighter, softer. Your breath is slow now, in rhythm with the castle's own quiet pulse, the drip of wax, the sigh of the draft, the faint crackle of a fire burning in a distant hearth. Sit, if you'd like, on a cushioned bench along the wall. The fabric is worn but soft, its embroidery faded to mere suggestions of flowers and vines. The cushion gives slightly under your weight, molding to you, as if it's been waiting centuries for you to rest here. Lean back and feel the cool stone wall against your shoulders, steady and unyielding, a reminder that this place has stood for ages and will stand long after you've drifted off. If you're already lying down, imagine this bench as your bed, the tapestries as your blankets, the candlelight as a soft glow behind your eyelids. Listen again. The hall is quieter than the courtyard, but not silent. The fire's crackle is faint, like a whisper from another room. A mouse skitters somewhere. In the shadows, its tiny claws making a soft scratch, then stopping as it curls up to sleep. The draft carries a low moan as it passes through a cracked window, not eerie but comforting, like the castle breathing alongside you. Every sound is distant, muted, as if wrapped in cotton, designed to blur the edges of your thoughts. Look up and notice the chandelier above, its iron arms heavy with wax drippings, candles long since burned out. It sways ever so slightly, catching the light, its crystals dulled by dust, but still glinting faintly, like stars seen through a haze. The ceiling beyond is a patchwork of shadows, with faint traces of painted frescoes, angels or kings, perhaps, their faces too faded to tell. It's not important. Nothing here demands your attention. Everything invites you to let go, to sink deeper into the moment. This hall, this castle, this courtyard, they're not just places. They're a bridge to the past, to the lives of royals, who walked these stones, who sat at these tables, who met their ends in ways so embarrassingly human, they've been all but forgotten. As we prepare to explore their stories, let the sensory weight of this place anchor you. The cool stone, the flickering light, the faint lavender, the soft creak of wood, these are your companions, guiding you gently towards sleep. There's no need to hold on to details, no need to stay awake. The history we'll uncover is delightfully dull, each tale a soft wave lapping at the shore of your mind, pulling you closer to dreams. Feel your eyelids growing heavier now, each blink slower than the last. Your breath is a steady tide, in and out, in and out. The castle is quiet, the world is far away, and you are safe, warm, and ready to drift. Let's linger here a moment longer, in this sensory cocoon, before we step into the first of our royal misadventures. The stories are waiting, but they're in no hurry, and neither are you. Welcome back, dear listener, to the quiet, unchanging rhythm of our sleepy historical journey. You're still here in the ancient castle, nestled in its vast, shadowy hall, where the air smells faintly of lavender and old wood, and the soft crackle of a distant fire hums like a lullaby. The tapestries sway ever so slightly, their faded threads catching the dim candlelight, and the stone floor beneath you feels cool, steady, as if it's holding you gently in place. Your body is heavy, your breath slow, and your mind is free to drift, unburdened by the need to focus. We're about to step deeper into the past, into the utterly ordinary morning routines of royals, kings, queens, and princes whose days began with such predictable monotony that their lives seem almost designed to bore you into slumber. These are the moments before their embarrassing ends, the dull, repetitive rituals of waking, washing, dressing, and eating. Let my voice be a soft, steady drone, like the hum of a spinning wheel, carrying you closer to sleep with every word. Picture the castle at dawn. The sky outside is a pale, milky gray, not yet touched by the sun, and a faint mist clings to the courtyard, softening the edges of the cobblestones. The air is cool, damp, with a hint of dew and the earthy scent of wet stone. Inside, the castle is stirring, but slowly, as if reluctant to wake. Servants shuffle through the corridors, their footsteps muffled on the worn rugs, carrying buckets of water or bundles of linen. Their voices are low, a murmur of instructions and yawns, blending with the creak of wooden doors and the occasional clatter of a dropped spoon. The castle breathes. It sounds as rhythmic as your own slow inhales and exhales. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let the rhythm anchor you. Let it pull you deeper into this drowsy world. Our first royal, let's call him King Edmund, a name as common as dust in the annals of history, begins his morning. In a canopied bed, its heavy velvet curtains drawn tight to keep out the chill. The bed is vast, piled with furs and woolen blankets, each one slightly scratchy, smelling of lanolin and age. The mattress, stuffed with straw and feathers, rustles faintly as he stirs, the sound like dry leaves underfoot. Edmund's eyes open, slowly blinking at the sliver of gray light seeping through a gap in the curtains. His chamber is dim, the walls hung with tapestries of hunting scenes, their colors muted browns, greens, and blues that seem to absorb the light rather than reflect it. A single candle burns on a wooden table, its flame small and steady, casting a weak glow that barely reaches the corners of the room. Edmund yawns, his breath warm and slightly sour, and swings his legs over the side of the bed. His feet touch the cold stone floor, covered only by a thin rush mat that feels damp under his toes. The chill is a quiet shock, but not enough to jolt him awake, just enough to make him shuffle toward the fireplace, where embers from last night's fire glow faintly, giving off a weak warmth and the faint smell of charred oak. A servant, silent as a shadow, enters with a pitcher of water and a basin, setting them on the table with a soft clink. The water is lukewarm, drawn from a well hours ago, and smells faintly of minerals and moss. Edmund dips his hands into the basin, splashing his face. The water trickles down his cheeks, pooling in his beard, and he wipes it away with a coarse linen cloth, its texture rough but familiar. He rubs his eyes, his movements slow, mechanical, as if he's done this 1,000 times, and he has. There's no urgency, no excitement, just the plodding routine of another royal morning. Let's linger here, in the monotony of this moment. The splash of water, the scrape of the cloth, the faint creak of the floorboards as Edmund shifts his weight. These are the sounds of a life so ordinary it could belong to anyone, king or not. Your own body feels heavier now, doesn't it? Your arms resting, your legs soft, your breath a gentle tide. If a thought drifts into your mind, let it float away like a leaf on a stream. There's nothing to hold on to here, nothing to keep you awake. The castle, the king, the morning, they're all fading into a soft gray haze, inviting you to close your eyes. Now, hygiene. Edmund's servant hands him a small wooden box, its lid carved with a simple floral pattern, worn smooth by years of use. Inside is a lump of soap, made from tallow and ash, its scent sharp and slightly acrid, like wet earth after rain. He rubs it between his palms, working up a thin lather that smells faintly of herbs, rosemary, perhaps, or thyme mixed with the greasy undertone of the tallow. He washes his hands, his neck, the back of his ears, the soap slipping slightly in his grip. The lather is thin, not luxurious, and leaves his skin feeling tight, almost squeaky. He rinses with another splash of water, the basin now cloudy with soap and dirt. The servant pours the water into a bucket, the sound a soft gurgle, and refills the basin for the next step. Edmund's teeth are next. The servant offers a small twig, its end frayed into a makeshift brush, and a paste of chalk and mint stored in a clay pot. The paste is gritty, tasting of dust and faintly of the mint, which lingers on his tongue, like a memory of something fresher. He scrubs his teeth, the twig scraping against enamel, the sound of faint rasp in the quiet room. He spits into the basin, the water now speckled with bits of chalk, and rinses his mouth with a sip of the same lukewarm water. The routine is methodical, unremarkable, each step blending into the next like the notes of a lullaby you've heard too many times. Your own jaw feels softer now, doesn't it? Your face relaxed, your eyes drifting shut. Let the repetition of Edmund's morning carry you. Let it bore you gently into sleep. Dressing comes next, and it's a slow, deliberate process. The servant lays out Edmund's clothes on the bed, each piece heavy with embroidery and history. First, a linen shift, off-white and slightly yellowed with age, its fabric soft but faintly musty, smelling of cedar from the chest where it's stored. Edmund pulls it over his head, the linen cool against his skin, the hem brushing his knees. Next, a pair of woolen hose, dyed a dull brown, their texture scratchy but warm. The servant kneels to tie them to the shift with leather laces, the knots tight but not uncomfortable, the leather smelling faintly of oil and dust. Over this goes a tunic, a deep blue faded to gray in patches, its sleeves long and slightly frayed. At the cuffs, the wool is heavy, weighing on Edmund's shoulders, and smells of lanolin and the faint, sour tang of sweat from its last wearing. The servant fetches a belt, leather too, studded with small brass buckles that clink softly as it's fastened. The sound is rhythmic, predictable clink, clink, clink like a metronome for sleep. Over the tunic goes a surcoat, velvet, once a rich green, but now dulled to the color of old moss. Its embroidery, gold thread in swirling patterns, is unraveling at the edges, and the fabric feels stiff, as if it's absorbed the damp of the castle walls. Edmund stands still as the servant adjusts the fit, tugging here, smoothing there, the movements so practiced, they're almost mechanical. A cloak follows. Wool again, dyed a somber gray, its clasp a simple iron pin that scratches faintly as it's fastened. The cloak is heavy, dragging slightly on the floor, its hem collecting dust and bits of straw. Let's pause here, in the weight of these clothes, the slow, repetitive act of dressing. Imagine the fabric on your own skin, heavy, warm, slightly itchy. Imagine the servant's hands, calloused but gentle, adjusting the cloak, tying the laces. There's no drama, no urgency, just the quiet, endless routine of a royal morning. Your own body is sinking now, isn't it? Your limbs soft, your breath a whisper. If you're still awake, that's okay. There's more monotony to come, more. History to bore you into bliss. Finally, breakfast. Edmund shuffles down a corridor, the stone walls cold and damp, lit by flickering torches that smell of pitch and smoke. The great hall is already set, a long oak table covered with a linen cloth, slightly stained but clean enough. The air here is warmer, thick with the scent of bread, wood smoke, and the faint greasy aroma of roasted meat. Servants move quietly, placing wooden trenchers and pewter cups, their movements as predictable as the tides. Edmund sits at the head of the table, his chair creaking under his weight, its cushions thin and lumpy, smelling faintly of mildew. The meal is simple, as royal breakfasts often were. A loaf of rye bread, crusty and dense, its surface dusted with flour, sits in the center of the table. A servant cuts it with a dull knife, the blade scraping against the crust, the sound a soft, repetitive sawing. The bread smells yeasty, slightly sour, and crumbles slightly as it's placed on Edmund's trencher. Beside it is a small slab of cheese, pale yellow, its rind waxy and smelling of damp cellars. The cheese is hard, crumbly, with a sharp tang that lingers on the tongue. A bowl of pottage follows a thick stew of barley, onions, and herbs, its surface slick with a thin layer of fat. The pottage is lukewarm, its smell earthy, like wet fields after rain, and it clings to the wooden spoon as Edmund eats. He drinks from a pewter cup filled with small beer, weak and slightly cloudy, tasting of malt and faintly of the barrel it was stored in. The beer is cool, not cold, and leaves a faint bitterness on his lips. A servant refills the cup, the liquid sloshing softly, the sound a gentle gurgle that blends with the crackle of the fire in the hearth. The fire is low, its logs half burned, giving off more smoke than heat, the smoke curling upward to stain the ceiling beams. Edmund eats slowly, chewing each bite with the same mechanical rhythm bread. Cheese, pottage, sip of beer, repeat. The flavors are familiar, unexciting, the kind of meal that fills the stomach, but not the mind. Let's linger on this breakfast, on the slow, deliberate act of eating. The scrape of the spoon, the faint clink of the cup, the soft chew of bread against teeth. These are the sounds of a morning so ordinary, it's almost invisible. A morning that could belong to any king, any day, any century. Your own body is softer now, isn't it? Your eyes heavier, your breath a quiet hum. If a thought drifts in, let it drift out. There's nothing to hold on to here, nothing to keep you from sinking deeper into the castle's drowsy embrace. But let's not stop with Edmund. Imagine another royal Queen Margaret, perhaps, in a different wing of the castle. Her morning mirrors Edmund's, with slight variations that are no less dull. She wakes in a bed draped with silk, slightly frayed at the edges, its pillows stuffed, with goose down that smells faintly of feathers and dust. Her chamber is smaller, its windows covered with oiled parchment that lets in a diffuse gray light. The air is cool, tinged with the scent of lavender from a sachet under her pillow, and the faint, musty smell of the tapestries on the walls, scenes of gardens. Their colors faded to pastels. Margaret's hygiene routine is much the same. A servant brings a basin of water, slightly warmer than Edmund's, with a faint rosewater scent that's barely noticeable. She washes her face, her hands, her neck, the water trickling into the basin with a soft plop. Her soap is slightly finer, made with olive oil instead of tallow, but its lather is still thin. It sent a weak echo of chamomile. She brushes her teeth with a silver-handled twig, the paste the same chalky mix, its grit catching in her molars. The servant combs her hair, long and graying, with a bone comb, the teeth scraping gently against her scalp, the sound a faint, repetitive scratch. Dressing is a longer process for Margaret. Her shift is linen, softer than Edmund's, but still slightly damp from the castle's ever-present chill. Her gown is wool, dyed a muted purple, its embroidery silver but tarnished, the threads unraveling at the hem. The servant laces it tightly, the corset creaking faintly, the laces smelling of wax and leather. A wimple follows, starched linen that scratches her chin, its pins cold against her scalp. A cloak lighter than Edmund's is draped over her shoulders, its wool dyed a pale blue that's faded to gray. The servant adjusts each layer, the movements slow, precise, the sound of fabric rustling like leaves in a gentle breeze. Margaret's breakfast is in a smaller hall, its table shorter, but no less plain. The bread is the same rye, the cheese a touch softer, the pottage made with peas instead of barley, but no less bland. Her drink is watered wine, tart and slightly vinegary, served in a silver cup that's dented at the rim. She eats with a silver spoon, its handle worn smooth, the metal cool against her lips. The meal is quiet, the only sounds the clink of the spoon, the faint slurp of wine, the rustle of her wimple as she moves. The servants stand silently, their faces blank, their presence as unremarkable as the food, and so it goes, morning after morning, royal after royal. Prince Thomas, in yet another chamber, wakes to the same gray light, washes with the same lukewarm water, dresses in the same heavy wool, eats the same bread and pottage. The details shift. His soap smells of sage, his tunic is red, his cup is wood instead of pewter, but the routine is the same, a relentless cycle of waking, washing, dressing, eating. The castle hums with it, each sound a note in a lullaby that never changes. The splash of water, the scrape of a comb, the rustle of fabric, the clink of a spoon. Your own body is part of this rhythm now, isn't it? Your breath slow, your limbs heavy, your mind a soft, empty space. These royals, Edmund, Margaret, Thomas, and countless others, lived their mornings in this plodding, predictable way, unaware that their lives would end not in glory, but in moments so embarrassing they'd be whispered about for centuries. A fall, a choke, a misstep, these are the endings waiting for them, but not yet. For now, there's only the routine, the endless, sleepy routine that fills their days and hours. Let's linger here, in the dullness of it all, letting the weight of history press you gently down, down, down into sleep. The castle is quiet now, the morning rituals complete. The bread is eaten, the cups emptied, the clothes adjusted. The royals move on to their day, but we don't need to follow. Their stories, the embarrassing deaths, will come later, in another sleepy installment. For now, let the memory of their mornings wrap you like a blanket, heavy and warm. The splash of water, the rustle of wool, the taste of rye. These are the things that fill your mind, and they're slipping away, fading into the gray mist of the castle, into the soft, endless hum of sleep. Welcome back, dear listener, to the gentle, unchanging hum of our sleepy historical tale. You're still nestled in the ancient castle, its stone walls cool and steady, its air thick with the faint scents of lavender, wood smoke, and old tapestries. The candles flicker weakly, their light pooling on the floor like spilled honey, and the distant crackle of a fire blends with the soft rustle of fabric swaying in a draft. Your body is heavy, your breath a slow, quiet tide, and your mind floats in a haze, untroubled by the need to focus. We're deep in the past now, wandering through the midday routines of royals King Edmund, Queen Margaret, and Prince Thomas, whose lives are so predictably dull, they seem crafted to bore you into slumber. Today, we'll linger on their chores, errands and social interactions, the tedious tasks that fill the hours between morning and evening. Let my voice be a soft drone, like the buzz of a distant bee, carrying you closer to sleep with every word. Picture the castle at midday. The pale dawn has given way to a sky of flat, gray clouds, the kind that promise no rain, but no sun either, casting a soft, even light over the courtyard. The mist has lifted, but the air remains cool, carrying the earthy smell of damp stone and the faint green tang of ivy clinging to the walls. The cobblestones gleam slightly, slick from an earlier drizzle, and a lone sparrow hops across them, pecking at nothing in particular before fluttering away. Inside, the castle hums with quiet activity, servants sweeping, nobles murmuring, the clink of pewter and wood echoing faintly from the kitchens. The sounds are muted, repetitive, like the rhythm of your own breath. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let the castle's pulse guide you. Let it pull you deeper into this drowsy world. Let's start with King Edmund, now finished with his breakfast of rye bread and pottage. He rises from the grate, his heavy woolen cloak dragging slightly on the floor, its hem collecting bits of straw and dust. His first chore is to review the day's petitions, a task as thrilling as watching paint dry. He shuffles to a small chamber off the hall, its walls lined with oak panels that smell of wax and age. The room is dim, lit by a single narrow window, its parchment covering yellowed and slightly torn, letting in a weak gray light. A wooden table dominates the space, its surface scarred from years of use, and on it sits a stack of parchment scrolls, each one sealed with a blob of wax that smells faintly of beeswax and smoke. Edmund sits in a high-backed chair, its cushions thin and lumpy, creaking under his weight. A scribe, a thin man with ink-stained fingers, stands nearby, unrolling the first scroll with a soft rustle. The parchment is brittle, its edges curling, and the ink is faded. The words a monotonous list of requests: land disputes, tax exemptions, permissions to marry. Edmund listens, or tries to, his eyes half closed, his head nodding slightly. The scribe's voice is a low drone, each word blending into the next, like the hum of a spinning wheel. Lord so-and-so requests a reduction in his grain tithe. The village of somewhere or other seeks funds to repair a bridge. The details are unimportant, forgettable, and Edmund's mind wanders, as does yours. The rustle of parchment, the creak of the chair, the faint scratch of the scribe's quill as he makes a note, these are the sounds that fill the room, and they're slipping away, fading into the soft gray of sleep. Your body feels heavier now, doesn't it? Your arms resting, your legs soft, your breath a gentle whisper. If a thought drifts in, let it drift out, like a cloud passing over the castle's towers. There's no need to hold on to anything here, no need to stay awake. Edmund's chore is so dull, it's almost a gift, a perfect excuse to let your eyelids droop, to let the world blur. Next, an errand. Edmund must inspect the castle's stores, a task he performs weekly with the same plodding reluctance. He rises, his cloak catching briefly on the chair, and shuffles down a corridor, its stone walls cold and damp, lit by torches that flicker weakly, their smoke curling upward to stain the ceiling. The air smells of pitch and mildew, with a faint, sour note of old wine spilled long ago. His boots tap softly on the floor, the sound echoing faintly, blending with the distant clatter of pots from the kitchens. A servant follows, carrying a ledger, its pages yellowed and smelling of dust, the leather cover cracked at the edges. They descend a narrow staircase, the steps uneven, worn smooth by centuries of feet. The air grows cooler, heavier, as they enter the cellars, a warren of low-ceilinged rooms lined with barrels and sacks. The smell here is rich and earthy grain, dried apples, smoked fish, and the sharp tang of cheese wheels stacked in a corner. Edmund moves slowly, peering at barrels of ale, their wood dark and slick with condensation, the air around them heavy with the yeasty scent of fermentation. He counts sacks of barley, their burlap rough under his fingers, each one tied with a coarse rope that smells of hemp and dirt. The servant reads from the ledger 40 sacks of barley, 12 barrels of ale, 8 wheels of cheese, his voice a monotone, each number blending into the next. Edmund nods, barely listening, his eyes tracing the patterns of mold on the cellar walls, green and gray patches that seem to shift in the torchlight. The task is endless, pointless, a ritual performed for the sake of tradition rather than need. The barrels, the sacks, the cheese, they'll be counted again next week, and the week after, in an unbroken cycle of monotony. Your own mind is drifting now, isn't it? The smell of grain, the flicker of torchlight, the servants droning. Voice they're fading, melting into a soft, sleepy haze. Let them go. Let the cellar, the castle, the king slip away. Now a social interaction. Edmund returns to the great hall, where a minor noble lord with a name too dull to remember awaits an audience. The hall is warmer now, the fire stoked. Higher, its logs crackling softly, sending up curls of smoke that smell of oak and resin. The long table is cleared, save for a few crumbs of rye bread and a dented pewter cup, its surface gleaming faintly in the firelight. The noble stands, his woolen tunic a faded red, his boots scuffed, his face a mask of polite boredom. He bows. The movement stiff, his cloak rustling like dry leaves. Edmund sits, his chair creaking again, and gestures for the noble to speak. The man launches into a request for a royal charter to expand his village's market, his voice a steady, uninflected hum. The market, your majesty, could benefit from an additional stall for wool. The local weavers produce a modest surplus. The words are as exciting as a tax ledger, each one fading into the next like ripples on a still pond. Edmund nods, his eyes glazing over, his fingers tracing the grain of the table's wood, its surface smooth but slightly sticky from spilled ale. The noble drones on, mentioning sheep, tariffs, and cobblestone paths, his hands gesturing vaguely, as if even he's bored by his own request. The hall is quiet, save for the noble's voice and the occasional pop of the fire. A servant sweeps. The floor in a corner, the broom's bristles whispering against the stone. The sound a soft, rhythmic shush. Another servant polishes a candelabra, the cloth squeaking faintly against the brass, the smell of wax mingling with the fire's smoke. Edmund's responses are minimal: a grunt, a nod, a murmured, "We shall consider it." The interaction is a dance of formality, each step rehearsed, predictable, as if the castle itself is sleepwalking through the day. Your own body is part of this rhythm now, isn't it? Your breath slow, your limbs heavy, your eyes drifting shut. If you're still awake, that's okay. There's more monotony to come, more history to bore you into bliss. Let's shift to Queen Margaret, whose midday is no less tedious. She's in her solar, a small room high in the castle, its walls hung with tapestries of faded flowers, there, threads unraveling at the edges. The air here is warmer, tinged with the scent of beeswax from a candle burning on a side table, its flame small and steady, casting a soft glow on the oak paneling. A narrow window lets in gray light, filtered through oiled parchment, and the faint sound of a bell tolling noon from a distant tower, its clang muffled by the castle's thick walls. Margaret's chore is to oversee the embroidery of a new altar. Cloth for the castle's chapel, a task as thrilling as counting grains of sand. She sits on a cushioned stool, its wood creaking faintly, its cushion smelling of lavender and dust. A servant lays out the cloth, a heavy square of linen, its edges hemmed but plain, waiting for decoration. The servant hands Margaret a needle, and thread, the silk a muted blue, its texture smooth but slightly tacky from the humid air. Margaret stitches, her movements slow, deliberate, each loop of thread a tiny, repetitive act. The needle pricks the cloth, the sound a faint, rhythmic pop, barely audible over the soft hum of the servant's breathing. The design is simple vines and leaves, no more complex than a child's drawing. Margaret's stitches are even, unremarkable, each one blending into the next, like waves lapping at a shore. The servant offers suggestions, perhaps a leaf here, Your Grace? Her voice soft, deferential, as dull as the task itself. Margaret nods, her eyes half-focused, her mind wandering to nothing in particular. The room is quiet, save for the pop of the needle, the rustle of the cloth, and the occasional chirp of a bird outside, its song too faint to matter. The monotony is soothing, isn't it? The stitch, the thread, the vine, each one a step closer to sleep, each one fading. Into the gray haze of the castle, Margaret's errand takes her to the castle's herb garden, a small, walled plot behind the kitchens. She walks slowly, her gown rustling, its hem brushing the stone floor, collecting bits of dust and straw. The garden is damp, the air heavy with the scent of wet earth and crushed mint, the ground soft under her slippers. Rows of herbs: rosemary, thyme, sage stand in neat lines, their leaves glistening with dew, their smells mingling in a green, slightly bitter cloud. A gardener, an old woman with gnarled hands, bows and hands Margaret a basket, its wicker creaking faintly, smelling of dried grass. Margaret inspects the herbs, a task she performs weekly to ensure the kitchen's supply. She pinches a sprig of rosemary, its needles prickly, its scent sharp and resinous, lingering on her fingers. She nods, moves to the thyme, its tiny leaves soft, its smell milder, like a memory of summer. The gardener murmurs about yields. The sage is thriving, Your Grace, but the parsley struggles, her voice a low hum, as unexciting as the herbs themselves. Margaret listens, or pretends to, her eyes tracing the veins of a sage leaf, her mind as blank as the gray sky above. The task is endless, pointless, a ritual of checking and nodding, until the basket is full and the garden fades into the background. Your mind is drifting now, isn't it? The smell of rosemary, the creak of the basket, the gardener's voice, they're slipping away, melting into the soft, sleepy rhythm of the castle. Let them go. Let the garden, the herbs, the queen fade. Into the mist, into the quiet hum of sleep, for her social interaction, Margaret receives a delegation of nuns from a nearby convent, come to request alms. They meet in the solar, the nuns' black habits rustling like dry leaves, their wimples starched and smelling faintly of lye. The leader, an elderly woman with a voice like a creaking hinge, speaks of the convent's needs grain, wool anew, roof for the chapel. Her words are slow, deliberate, each one a pebble dropped into a still pond, creating ripples that fade before they reach the shore. Margaret listens, her hands folded, her face a mask of polite interest, her mind elsewhere on the embroidery perhaps, or the taste of the watered wine at breakfast. The nuns offer a gift, a small book of prayers, its leather cover worn, its pages smelling of dust and incense. Margaret accepts it, her fingers brushing the leather, its texture smooth, but slightly sticky from the damp air. She murmurs thanks, her voice soft, uninflected, as if she's reading from a script. The nuns bow, their habits rustling again, and file out, their footsteps a soft shuffle on the stone floor. The solar is quiet now, save for the candle's faint hiss and the distant toll of a bell, marking the hour with no particular urgency. The interaction is over, as unremarkable as the morning's pottage, as forgettable as the herbs in the garden. Let's turn to Prince Thomas, whose midday is equally dull. He's in the castle's armory, a low, stone-walled room that smells of oil, leather, and rust. His chore is to inspect the weapons, a task assigned to teach him responsibility, but which he finds as engaging as a tax roll. The armory is dim, lit by torches that flicker weakly, their smoke curling upward to stain the ceiling. Swords, spears, and shields line the walls, their metal dulled by time, their wooden handles smooth but splintered. Thomas runs his fingers over a sword's blade, its edge blunt, its surface cold, and slightly greasy from the oil used to prevent rust. A grizzled armorer, his apron stained with soot, explains the inventory: 20 swords, 15 spears, 10 shields, my lord, his voice a gravelly monotone, each word blending into the next. Thomas nods, barely listening, his eyes tracing the patterns of rust on a shield, its paint chipped, its colors faded to gray and brown. The task is repetitive, endless, a cycle of counting and nodding, until the armorer's voice fades into a hum like the drone of a distant storm. The smell of oil, the clink of metal, the armorer's voice, they're all part of the castle's lullaby, pulling you deeper, deeper into sleep. Thomas's errand takes him to the stables. A long, low building that smells of hay, manure, and horse sweat. The air is warm, heavy, the floor covered with straw that crunches under his boots, releasing a faint, sweet scent. Horses stand in their stalls, their coats dull, their tails swishing lazily, the sound a soft, rhythmic whisk. Thomas inspects. The tack saddles, bridles, stirrups, his fingers brushing the leather, its surface worn but supple, smelling of oil and wax. A groom, a boy with straw in his hair, reports on the horse's health. The bay mare's lame, my lord, but the gray's fit. His voice soft, uninflected, as dull as the task itself. Thomas nods, his eyes half closed, his mind wandering to nothing in particular. The groom brushes a horse, the bristles whispering against its coat, the sound a gentle, repetitive shush. The stable is quiet, save for the whisk of the brush, the occasional snort of a horse, the faint creak of a beam. Overhead. The task is pointless, a ritual of checking and nodding, until the stable fades into the background, into the gray haze of the castle. For his social interaction, Thomas meets a visiting squire, a young man sent to deliver a message from a neighboring lord. They meet in the courtyard, the cobblestones cool underfoot, the air smelling of damp stone and ivy. The squire, his tunic a faded green, bows stiffly, his boots scuffed, his face flushed from the ride. He speaks of his lord's request for a hunting party, his voice eager but restrained, as if he's reciting a lesson. My lord proposes a hunt in the western woods, my lord. Deer are plentiful this season. The words are predictable, unexciting, each one fading into the next. Like footsteps in the dust, Thomas listens, or pretends to, his eyes tracing the patterns of moss on the courtyard walls, his fingers brushing the hilt of his dagger, its leather, grip worn smooth. He murmurs a response, we shall consider it, his voice flat, as if he's reading from a script. The squire bows again, his cloak rustling, and departs, his horse's hooves clopping softly on the cobblestones, the sound fading into the distance. The courtyard is quiet now, save for the chirp of a sparrow and the faint drip of water from a nearby fountain, its rhythm slow, hypnotic, and so the midday passes, hour after hour, task after task, each one as dull as the last. Edmund counts. Barrels, Margaret stitches vines, Thomas polishes swords. The castle hums with their routines, each sound a note in a lullaby that never changes the rustle of parchment, the pop of a needle, the clink of metal. Your own body is part of this. Rhythm now, isn't it? Your breath slow, your limbs heavy, your mind a soft, empty space. If a thought drifts in, let it drift out. There's nothing to hold on to here, nothing to keep you from sinking deeper into the castle's drowsy embrace. These royals, Edmund, Margaret, Thomas, lived their middays in this plodding, predictable way, unaware that their lives would end. In moments so embarrassing, they'd be whispered about for centuries. A slip, a stumble, a bite gone wrong, these are the endings waiting for them. But not yet. For now, there's only the routine, the endless, sleepy routine that fills their days and hours. Let's linger here, in the dullness of it all, letting the weight of history press you gently down, down, down into sleep. The castle is quiet now, the midday tasks complete. The petitions are read, the herbs gathered, the squire dismissed. The royals move on to their evening, but we don't need to follow. Their stories, the embarrassing deaths, will come later, in another sleepy installment. For now, let the memory of their middays wrap you like a blanket, heavy and warm. The rustle of cloth, the smell of oil, the drone of voices. These are the things that fill your mind, and they're slipping away, fading into the gray mist of the castle, into the soft, endless hum of sleep. Welcome back, dear listener, to the soft, fading light of our sleepy historical tale. You're still here, nestled in the ancient castle, its stone walls cool and steady, its air heavy with the scents of old wood, wax, and the faint, lingering trace of lavender. The candles have burned lower now, their flames small and wavering, casting long shadows that dance lazily across the tapestries. The fire in the hearth crackles faintly, its embers glowing like tiny, sleepy stars, and a gentle draft sighs through the hall, carrying the rustle of fabric and the distant clink of a servant's tray. Your body is soft, your breath a slow, quiet rhythm, and your mind drifts in a haze, free from the need to focus. We're deep in the evening now, following King Edmund, Queen Margaret, and Prince Thomas through their final routines, cooking, family time, and preparing for bed. These tasks are so ordinary, so endlessly repetitive, they seem designed to bore you into the gentle arms of sleep. Let my voice be a low, steady hum, like the wind whispering through the castle's towers, carrying you closer to dreams with every word. Picture the castle as evening settles in. The gray midday sky has deepened to a dusky blue, the kind that blurs the horizon, and softens the edges of the world. Stars are just beginning to prick the sky, faint and far away, like candles seen through a fog. In the courtyard, the cobblestones are cool, damp from an earlier drizzle, and a single lantern swings from a hook. Its light a weak amber glow that barely reaches the walls. The air carries the rich, earthy smell of wood stone, mingled with the smoky scent of burning wood from the castle's many hearths. Inside, the corridors are quieter now, the bustle of midday replaced by a slow, deliberate pace, servants moving with heavy steps, their arms laden with linens or trays. There, voices hushed, as if the castle itself is ready to rest. The sounds are soft, repetitive, a lullaby of creaks and murmurs. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let the castle's rhythm wrap you. Let it pull you deeper into this drowsy world. Let's begin with King Edmund, his midday petitions and errands behind him. He's in the great hall, where the long oak table is being set for the evening meal. But first, he oversees a minor cooking task, a royal duty to ensure the kitchen's preparations meet the court standards. The kitchen is a cavernous room, its stone walls blackened by years of smoke, its air thick with the smells of roasting meat, boiling herbs, and the sharp, yeasty tang of dough rising by the fire. The floor is slick with grease and strewn with bits of straw, crunching faintly under Edmund's boots as he enters. A massive hearth dominates the room, its fire roaring, sending up curls of smoke that sting the eyes and coat the tongue with the taste of ash. Iron pots hang over the flames, their contents bubbling softly, the sound a low, rhythmic gurgle. Like a stream over pebbles, Edmund stands by a wooden table, its surface scarred and sticky with spilled broth. A cook, a stout woman with flour-dusted hands, presents a tray of ingredients for the evening's pottage, a staple as dull as the morning's. There are onions, their papery skins crackling as she peels them, releasing a faint, sharp scent that pricks the nose. Carrots, scrubbed but still earthy, their orange faded to a pale yellow, are chopped with a dull knife, the blade thudding against the table, a steady thump, thump, thump. Barley, stored in a burlap sack, pours into a bowl. With a soft hiss, its grains smelling of dust and fields long harvested. The cook stirs the pottage, her wooden spoon scraping the pot sides, the sound of faint, repetitive scrape, blending with the fire's crackle and the drip of fat from a roasting spit. Edmund inspects the ingredients, his eyes half closed, his nod automatic. He dips a finger into the pottage, tasting the bland, slightly salty broth, its warmth lingering on his lips, its flavor as unremarkable as the castle's gray walls. The cook murmurs about quantities, 2 measures of barley, your majesty, and a handful of thyme, her voice a monotone, each word fading into the next like footsteps in a fog. The task is simple, pointless, a ritual of checking and nodding. Checking and nodding, performed for tradition rather than necessity. The kitchen's heat, the gurgle of the pot, the thump of the knife, they're all part of the castle's lullaby, pulling you deeper, deeper into sleep. Your body feels heavier. Now, doesn't it? Your arms soft, your legs sinking, your breath a gentle whisper. If a thought drifts in, let it drift out, like smoke curling from the hearth. Next, family time. Edmund joins Queen Margaret and Prince Thomas in a smaller hall, a room reserved for private meals, its walls hung with faded tapestries of pastoral. Scenes sheep, fields, and trees, their colors dull to grays and greens. The air here is cooler, tinged with the scent of beeswax from a single candelabrum, its candles burning low, their wax dripping in slow, silent drops. A small fire burns in the hearth, its logs half consumed, giving off a faint warmth, and the smell of charred oak. The table is set with wooden trenchers, pewter cups, and a loaf of rye bread, its crust cracked, its scent yeasty and slightly sour. The family sits, their chairs creaking faintly, the cushions thin and smelling of mildew. A servant pours watered wine, its tart, vinegary smell rising from the cups, the liquid sloshing softly, a gentle gurgle that blends with the fire's crackle. The pottage is served, steaming faintly, its surface slick with a thin layer of fat. Its smell earthy, like wet fields. Edmund breaks the bread, its crumbs scattering on the table, each piece chewy, dense, tasting of rye and faintly of the oven's smoke. Margaret sips her wine, her wimple rustling as she moves, the sound a soft whisper like leaves in a breeze. Thomas picks at a carrot, its texture soft, its flavor bland, his fork scraping the trencher with a faint, repetitive squeak. The conversation is sparse, predictable, as dull as the meal itself. Edmund mentions the petitions, another dispute. Overgrazing rights, his voice flat, his words trailing off, as if he's forgotten his point. Margaret nods, her eyes on her spoon, and murmurs about the altar cloth's progress. 3 more leaves stitched today. Thomas, slouching slightly, mumbles about the stables. The gray mare's shoe is loose again. The words are unexciting, each one a pebble dropped into a still pond, creating ripples that fade before they reach the shore. The family eats, sips, nods, their movements slow, mechanical, as if they're sleepwalking through the meal. The servant refills the cups, the wine gurgling again, the sound a soft, hypnotic hum. The hall is quiet, save for the squeak of forks, the rustle of Margaret's wimple, the faint pop of the fire. A servant sweeps the floor in a corner, the broom's bristles whispering against the stone, the sound a gentle shush. Another polishes a pewter plate, the cloth squeaking faintly, the smell of metal mingling with the wine's tang. The family's interaction is a ritual, a dance of murmurs and nods, as unremarkable as the pottage, as forgettable as the day's errands. Your mind is drifting now, isn't it? The taste of rye, the gurgle of wine, the fire's glow, they're slipping away, melting into the soft, sleepy rhythm of the castle. Let them go. Let the hall, the family, the meal fade into the dusk, finally preparing for bed. Edmund retires to his chamber, the same canopied bed waiting, its velvet curtains drawn back, their fabric heavy with dust, smelling of lanolin and age. The room is dim, lit by a single candle, its flame small and flickering, casting shadows that sway like ghosts on the tapestried walls. The air is cool, tinged with the scent of straw from the mattress, which rustles faintly as Edmund sits. A servant brings a basin of water, lukewarm and smelling faintly of minerals, its surface rippling as it set on the table. Edmund washes his face, the water trickling down his beard, pooling on the floor, the sound a soft, repetitive drip. He wipes his face with a linen cloth, its texture coarse, its smell faintly of cedar from the chest where it's stored. The servant helps him undress, unfastening the cloak's iron pin, its scratch a faint, familiar sound. The surcoat comes off, its velvet stiff, rustling like dry leaves. The tunic follows, then the hose, each piece folded and set aside, the wool smelling of sweat and lanolin. Edmund pulls on a nightshirt, linen, slightly yellowed, its fabric cool but soft, brushing his skin like a whisper. He sits again, the bed creaking, and the servant combs his hair, the bone comb scraping gently against his scalp, the sound a faint, rhythmic scratch. The routine is slow, deliberate, each step blending into the next, like the notes of a lullaby you've heard too many times. The candles hiss, the drip of water, the rustle of linen, they're all part of the castle's sleepy song, pulling you deeper, deeper into rest. Margaret's bedtime routine is much the same in her smaller chamber high in the castle. Her bed is draped with frayed silk, its pillows stuffed with goose down, smelling of feathers and dust. The air is cool, tinged with lavender from a sachet under the pillow, and the faint musty scent of the tapestry's faded gardens, their colors soft as a dream. A servant brings a basin, the water scented with a drop of rose water, its smell faint, barely noticeable. Margaret washes her face, her hands, her neck, the water trickling into the basin with a soft plop, the sound hypnotic, repetitive. She dries with a linen cloth, its texture smoother than Edmund's, but still slightly damp from the castle's chill. The servant unlaces her gown, the corset creaking faintly, the laces smelling of wax and leather. The wimple is removed, its pins cold against her scalp, the linen rustling as it's folded. Margaret's hair, long and graying, is combed with a silver-handled comb, the teeth gliding smoothly, the sound a soft, repetitive scrape. She slips into a nightgown linen, soft but slightly stiff, its hem brushing her ankles. She sits on the bed, the mattress rustling, and the servant places a warm stone at her feet, its heat faint, its smell earthy, like baked clay. The routine is endless, predictable, a cycle of washing, undressing, combing, as dull as the morning's pottage. Your eyes are heavier now, aren't they? Your breath slower, your body sinking into the bed, the couch, the chair. If you're still awake, that's okay. There's more monotony to come, more history to bore you into bliss. Thomas, in his own chamber, follows a similar path. His room is smaller, its walls bare save for a single tapestry of a hunt, its colors faded to browns and grays. The air smells of straw and leather, with a faint trace of oil from the sword he polished earlier. His bed is simpler, its woolen blankets heavy, smelling of lanolin and dust. A servant brings a basin, the water plain, its surface still, its smell faintly of the well. Thomas washes quickly, the water splashing, the sound a soft, repetitive patter. He dries with a coarse cloth, its texture scratching his skin, its smell faintly of mildew. The servant helps him undress, unbuckling the belt, its brass clinking softly, the leather smelling of oil and sweat. The tunic comes off, then the hose. Each piece tossed onto a chair, the wool rustling like dry grass. Thomas pulls on a nightshirt, linen, slightly too large, its sleeves flapping as he moves. He sits, the bed creaking, and the servant brushes his hair, the comb's teeth catching slightly, the sound a faint, rhythmic tug. The routine is brisk, unceremonious, each step a mirror of the morning's, as if the day has folded back on itself. The candles flicker, the splash of water, the creak of the bed. They're fading now, melting into the soft, gray haze of the castle, and so the evening passes, task after task, each one as dull as the last. Edmund tastes pottage, Margaret sips wine, Thomas washes his face. The castle hums with their routines, each sound a note in a lullaby that never changes: the gurgle of broth, the rustle of linen, the scrape of a comb. Your own body is part of this rhythm now, isn't it? Your breath slow, your limbs heavy, your mind a soft, empty space. If a thought drifts in, let it drift out, like a candle's smoke curling into the night. These royals, Edmund, Margaret, Thomas, lived their evenings in this plodding, predictable way, unaware that their lives would end in moments so embarrassing they'd be whispered about for centuries. A choke, a fall, a misjudged step, these are the endings waiting for them. But not tonight. For now, there's only the routine, the endless, sleepy routine that fills their nights and hours. Let's linger here, in the dullness of it all, letting the weight of history press you gently down, down, down into sleep. The castle is quiet now, the evening tasks complete. The pottage is eaten, the family dispersed, the nightshirts donned. The royals are in their beds, the candles snuffed, the fires banked. Their stories, the embarrassing deaths, will come later, in another sleepy installment. For now, let the memory of their evenings wrap you like a blanket, heavy and warm. The smell of broth, the rustle of silk, the drip of water. These are the things that fill your mind, and they're slipping away, fading into the dusky mist of the castle, into the soft, endless hum of sleep. And so, dear listener, we come to the quiet close of our sleepy journey through the castle's endless, uneventful days. You're still here, cradled in the ancient hall, where the stone walls stand cool and steady, their surfaces softened by centuries of dust and time. The air is heavy with the faint scents of lavender, beeswax, and the lingering smoke of a fire, now reduced to glowing embers, their faint crackle like a whisper from another age. The candles have nearly burned out, their flames tiny, flickering specks that cast long, lazy shadows across the tapestries, their faded threads swaying ever so slightly in a draught. Your body is soft, your limbs heavy, your breath a slow, gentle rhythm that mirrors the castle's own sleepy pulse. Your mind drifts, unburdened, floating in a haze where thoughts come and go like clouds dissolving into a gray sky. As we reflect on the lives of King Edmund, Queen Margaret, and Prince Thomas, let's summarize their days, feel a quiet empathy for their humanness, express gratitude for your presence, and guide you into one final relaxation to carry you toward sleep. My voice is a soft hum, like the rustle of leaves in a distant forest, designed to bore you gently, blissfully, into dreams. Let's begin with a summary, a soft recounting of the royals' routines, each one so ordinary it slips through the mind like sand through fingers. From dawn to dusk, their lives unfolded in a predictable, plodding rhythm, a cycle of tasks that filled their hours without fanfare or glory. King Edmund woke each morning in his canopied bed, the straw mattress rustling, the air cool with the scent of damp stone. He washed with lukewarm water, its mineral tang clinging to his skin, and dressed in heavy wool, the fabric scratching faintly, its weight a constant reminder of his role. His breakfast was rye bread and pottage, bland and chewy, the flavors fading as quickly as they came. Midday brought petitions, dull scrolls of parchment listing disputes over land and taxes, their words droning like a summer insect. He counted barrels in the cellar, their wood slick with ale, and nodded through audiences with nobles whose requests were as forgettable as the castle's shadows. Evenings saw him tasting pottage in the smoky kitchen, sitting with his family over a sparse meal, and retiring to bed, the linen nightshirt cool, the combs scrape a final, monotonous note. Queen Margaret's days echoed his, with slight variations that were no less dull. She woke to gray light filtering through parchment windows, washed with rose water that barely scented the air, and dressed in a gown whose embroidery was unraveling, its purple faded to gray. Her breakfast was the same pottage, the same watered wine, its tartness lingering on her tongue. Midday found her stitching an altar cloth, the needle popping through linen, each vine and leaf a tiny, repetitive act. She wandered the herb garden, pinching rosemary and sage, their scents sharp but fleeting, and received nuns whose requests for alms were as predictable as the castle's bells. Evening brought her to the family table, her wimple rustling, her words about embroidery blending with the fire's crackle, and then to bed, where the servant's comb and the warm stone at her feet lulled her toward rest. Prince Thomas, younger, but no less bound by routine, followed suit. His chamber smelled of straw and leather, his bed simpler, but just as heavy with wool. He washed with plain water, dressed in a tunic that chafed, and ate the same bread, the same cheese, the same pottage. Midday tasks included polishing swords in the armory, their blades dull with rust, and checking tack in the stables, the leather smooth but worn. He met squires whose messages about hunts were as exciting as a tax roll, their words fading into The courtyard's quiet. Evening meant sitting with his parents, picking at carrots, mumbling about horses, and then retiring, the nightshirt loose, the combs tug a final, sleepy ritual. These routines, dear listener, were the fabric of their lives, woven from waking, washing, dressing, eating, working, and sleeping, each thread as plain as the next. There was no drama, no heroism, just the slow, steady march of days that blurred into weeks, months, years. Yet these royals, so lofty in title, were human, prone to the same small mishaps we all face: a stubbed toe, a spilled cup, a moment of clumsiness that history would later mock. Their embarrassing deaths, which we'll explore another time, were not the result of grand schemes or epic battles, but of these very human flaws, these quiet, relatable moments of imperfection. Your body feels softer now, doesn't it? Your breath slower, your eyes heavier, as the castle's rhythm wraps you like a blanket. Let's pause for empathy, a gentle nod to the humanity of these long-gone royals. Imagine King Edmund, his crown heavy, his shoulders slumped under the weight of endless petitions. He was no different from you or me, waking each morning with a yawn, perhaps a fleeting wish for a day free of duty. His hands, calloused from signing charters, fumbled with laces, spilled crumbs on his tunic, trembled slightly as he aged. Queen Margaret, too, felt the ache of long hours stitching, the chill of the castle's stone seeping into her bones. She sighed over wilted herbs, forgot names during audiences, and sometimes stared out her window, dreaming of a garden that bloomed without effort. Prince Thomas, young and restless, chafed at the armory's monotony, his mind wandering to fields he'd never ride, his fingers slipping on a sword's hilt, his voice cracking when he spoke to squires. They were not gods or legends, but people flawed, tired, occasionally clumsy, just like us. Their embarrassing ends, whatever they may be: a fall from a chair, a choke on a bone, a misstep in the dark, were not punishments but accidents, the kind that could befall anyone. Imagine Edmund laughing at a jest, only to trip over his cloak, or Margaret reaching for a cup, only to knock it over, or Thomas, distracted by a horse, stumbling on a cobblestone. These moments, so small, so human, remind us that even kings and queens are not immune to life's little humiliations. Feel a quiet kindness for them, a soft understanding that their titles did not shield them from the awkwardness we all share. Your mind is drifting now, isn't it? The castle's shadows, the royals' flaws, the hum of their lives, they're fading, melting into a soft, sleepy haze. Let them go. Let them slip away like leaves on a stream. Now, gratitude, a warm, gentle thank you for joining me in this drowsy corner of history. Thank you, dear listener, for letting me guide you through the castle's quiet halls, for trusting my voice to carry you toward rest. Your presence here, whether you're curled in bed, nestled on a couch, or resting in a chair, is a gift, a shared moment in this vast, timeless space. Thank you for letting the monotony of Edmund's petitions, Margaret's stitches, and Thomas's stable checks rip you in their calm. Thank you for drifting with me, for letting the castle's scents and sounds become your own, for allowing the weight of history to press you gently toward sleep. Whether you're still awake, half dreaming, or already slipping into slumber, know that I'm grateful for you, for this quiet connection across time and space. Your breath is softer now, isn't it? Your body sinking, your heart calm, as the castle's warmth surrounds you. Finally, let's wind down with a relaxation exercise, a soft path to carry you fully into sleep. Picture yourself lying on a bed in the castle, not a royal's grand canopied bed, but a simple one, its mattress stuffed with straw and lavender, its blankets woolen, heavy and warm. The room is small, its walls stone, but softened by a single tapestry, its colors faded to blues and grays, swaying faintly in a draught. A candle burns on a table, its flame so small it barely lights the room, its wax dripping in slow, silent drops. The smell of beeswax mingling with the lavender's calm. The window is open, letting in a cool night breeze, carrying the faint, earthy scent of the courtyard's wet cobblestones and the distant rustle of leaves in the forest beyond. Take a deep breath, slow and steady, counting to 4 in your mind. 1, 2, 3, 4. Feel the air fill your chest, cool and clean, carrying away any lingering tension. Hold it for a moment, then exhale, counting to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let the breath leave you, soft and long, like a sigh. From the castle itself. Do this again. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. Inhale deeply. Hold and exhale, letting your shoulders sink, your arms grow heavy, your legs melt into the bed. Now, let's release your body piece by piece. Start with your toes, wiggle them gently, then let them rest, imagining them softening, sinking into the straw mattress. Move to your feet, flex and release, letting them grow heavy, as if they're part of the castle's stone. Your calves. Your thighs, tense them slightly, then relax, feeling them warm, weightless, like water in a still pond. Your hips, your lower back, let them soften, melting into the bed, the blankets wrapping you tighter. Your stomach rises and falls with your breath, no effort needed, just a gentle tide. Your chest, your shoulders, roll them once, then let them settle, heavy and still. Your arms, your hands, let your fingers uncurl, your palms open as if they're resting on the castle's cool floor. Finally, your neck, your face, scrunch your face tight for a moment, then release, letting your jaw loosen, your forehead smooth, your eyes drift closed if your mind still hums. Picture a soft golden light at the center of your chest. With each breath, let it spread, warm and slow, across your body, down your arms, your legs, up to your head, until you're bathed in its glow. Any thoughts about the royals, the castle, or your own day, imagine them as tiny sparks floating upward, dissolving into the night sky. You don't need to chase them, don't need to hold them. They're gone, and you're here, in this quiet, safe space, where nothing matters but the slow, steady rhythm of your breath. The castle is silent now, its royals asleep, their routines complete. The pottage is eaten, the wine drunk, the nightshirts donned. The fires are banked, the candles snuffed, the corridors empty save for the faint sigh of the wind. You're part of this silence, this stillness, your body one with the castle's ancient calm. The stories of embarrassing deaths, those clumsy, human moments, will wait for another night, another sleepy tale. For now, there's only this moment. This bed, this breath. Let the castle fade, let the royals fade, let the world fade. Your eyelids are heavy, your breath is soft, and sleep is close, so close. Thank you again, dear listener, for being here. Let the lavender, the wax, the stone carry you away. Let the castle's lullaby, its creaks, its murmurs, its endless dull routines be the last thing you hear. Good night, and may your dreams be as peaceful, as quiet, as this forgotten corner of history. And here we are, dear listener, at the quiet, tender end of our sleepy journey through the castle's endless, uneventful days. The ancient hall surrounds you still, its stone walls cool and steady, their surfaces softened by the dust of centuries, as if time itself has grown weary. The air is thick with the faint, familiar scents of lavender, beeswax, and the smoky whisper of embers in the hearth, now barely glowing, their faint crackle a distant memory of warmth. The candles are gone, snuffed out one by one, leaving only the soft, silver glow of moonlight seeping through a narrow window, its light pooling on the stone floor like spilled water. The tapestries hang still, their faded threads no longer swaying, as if the castle's draught has sighed its last breath. Your body is heavy, your limbs soft, your breath a slow, gentle rhythm that mirrors the quiet pulse of this forgotten place. Your mind floats, empty and calm, thoughts drifting like leaves on a still pond, dissolving into the night. As we close this chapter of boring history for sleep, let me offer my deepest thanks, share gentle wishes for your rest, and guide you into a soft final good night. My voice is a whisper now, like the rustle of a blanket settling over you, designed to bore you gently, completely, into the arms of sleep. Let's begin with thanks, a warm, heartfelt gratitude for your presence here in this drowsy corner of history. Thank you, dear listener, for joining me in the castle's quiet halls, for letting my voice weave a tapestry of monotony around you. Whether you're curled beneath a blanket, nestled in a chair, or lying in bed with the world far away, your willingness to drift with me is a gift, a shared moment that feels as timeless as the stones beneath our feet. Thank you for walking with King Edmund through his tedious petitions, for sitting with Queen Margaret as she stitched her endless vines, for following Prince Thomas to the stables where the leather smelled of oil and dust. Each step, each task, each dull routine was a thread in the lullaby we've spun together, and I'm grateful for every moment you've given to this journey. Thank you for trusting me to guide you, for letting the castle's sense of wet stone, rye bread, and smoky fires become your own, for allowing the weight of history to press you gently toward rest. Your presence, whether you're wide awake, half dreaming, or already slipping into slumber, fills this space with a quiet warmth, and for that, I am deeply, endlessly thankful. Your breath is softer now, isn't it? Your chest rising and falling, slow and steady like the tide of a distant sea. The castle feels closer, its walls wrapping you in their cool embrace, its silence a blanket that shuts out the world. If a thought drifts in about the day, the royals, or tomorrow, let it pass. Let it fade like the moonlight on the floor. There's nothing to hold on to here, nothing to keep you from sinking deeper into this drowsy haze. Now, let's share some wishes, gentle hopes for your night and beyond. I wish you a sleep so deep, so peaceful, that it feels like sinking into the softest straw mattress, wrapped in woolen blankets that smell faintly of lavender and cedar. May your dreams, if they come, be as calm as the castle's courtyard at dawn, with its damp cobblestones and quiet sparrows, no drama or urgency to stir you. I wish for your body to rest fully, every muscle loosening, every worry dissolving, as if the castle's ancient magic has woven a spell of tranquility, just for you. May your night be long and unbroken, each hour a gentle wave that carries you further from the day's cares. And when you wake, whenever that may be, I wish for you a morning as gentle as this evening, with a mind clear and a heart light, ready to meet the world or drift back into rest. I wish, too, for moments of quiet in your days ahead. Moments where you can pause, like Edmund pausing over his pottage, or Margaret lingering in her herb garden, or Thomas staring at the stable's straw-strewn floor. May you find your own small rituals as dull and comforting as theirs to anchor you in a busy world. I wish for you the kind of peace that comes from the ordinary, the taste of bread, the feel of a worn chair, the sound of a distant bell tolling the hour with no particular urgency. These are the things that make a life, the things that connect us to these long-gone royals, whose embarrassing ends we'll explore another time, when the night calls us back to this sleepy tale. For now, my wish is simple, that you rest truly and deeply in the castle's embrace, tonight and always, Your eyes are heavier now, aren't they? Each blink slower, each breath softer, as the castle's quiet seeps into your bones. The moonlight is fading, the hall growing darker, the air cooler, as if the night itself is tucking you in. Let the castle hold you. Let its stillness be your guide. And now, a soft ending, a final good night to carry you fully into sleep. Picture yourself in a small chamber, high in the castle's tallest tower, its walls curved and smooth, its single window open to the night. You're lying on a simple bed, its frame carved with patterns too worn to see, its mattress stuffed with straw and herbs, releasing a faint, soothing scent of lavender and chamomile with every movement. The blankets are heavy, woolen, their texture slightly scratchy but warm, molding to your body like a second skin. The air is cool, carrying the distant, earthy smell of the forest beyond the castle, mingled with the faint, smoky trace of the last fire in the hall below. The only sound is the soft sigh of the wind, slipping through the window, rustling the tapestry on the wall, a faded scene of stars, their threads silver but dulled by time. Close your eyes, if you haven't already, and feel the bed beneath you, steady and soft, as if the castle itself is cradling you. Take a deep breath, slow and full, counting to 4 in your mind. 1, 2, 3, 4. Feel the cool air fill your lungs, washing away the last traces of the day. Hold it for a moment, then exhale, counting to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let the breath leave you, long and gentle, carrying with it any lingering tension. Again inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time, inhale deeply. Hold and exhale, letting your body sink. Your shoulders drop. Your hands rest open and still. Now imagine the castle growing quieter, its sounds fading one by one. The wind's sigh softens, the tapestry's rustle slows, the distant crackle of embers falls silent. The moonlight dims, the stars outside blur, and the chamber feels smaller, cozier, as if it's shrinking to fit only you. Your body is part of this quiet now, your breath the only rhythm, slow and steady, like the ticking of a clock that's winding down. If a thought drifts in about the royals, their routines, or the day ahead, picture it as a tiny moth fluttering briefly, then flying out the window, lost in the night. You don't need to follow it, don't need to hold it. You're here, in this moment, in this bed, in this castle, where nothing matters but rest. The royals are asleep now. Edmund in his canopied bed, Margaret in her silk-draped chamber, Thomas in his straw-scented room. Their routines are done, their petitions forgotten, their stitches unraveled, their swords left to rust. The castle is theirs, but it's yours too, a place of quiet, of monotony, of peace. The stories of their embarrassing deaths, those clumsy, human moments, will wait for another night, another sleepy journey. For now, there's only this chamber, this bed, this breath. The lavender, the wool, the stone, they're fading, slipping into the soft, endless dark of sleep. Thank you again, dear listener, for being here, for sharing this quiet space with me. Let the castle's lullaby, its whispers, its scents, its weight be the last thing you feel. Let the night take you, gentle and slow, into a sleep as deep as the castle's foundations. Good night, dear listener. Good night, and may you rest in the calm, forgotten heart of history.